Hi folks, we're here at Lost Creek Nature Retreat to do our first pruning of our orchard. Last year we planted the trees in the spring, and you can see that whole process on Orchard Part 1. But it's time for our initial trimming. Now in central New York, the best time to do that is when the trees are dormant, and that is after a couple of cold months of zero-ish temperatures, to make sure that they're completely dormant before you do this pruning. You want to get them early in the spring before they start to bud out. Now there will be two types of pruning methods we'll be using here today. One is called an open center, and it results in a lower profile, wider profile type tree. And the other one is called a central leader, which is more of a taller profile, kind of like a Christmas tree. Now we're going to try to use that lower profile in the front row and the higher profile in the back row, but it also depends on what type of tree it is and your preference. This orchard is lined up so that the east is this way, and a lot of our sun will be coming in the evening since we have some shade here in the south. So we thought it would be best to keep them all low here and higher there so we can maximize their sunlight. So our first tree to prune today is our Stella cherry, and it came from the nursery with open center. You can see it's been pruned right here, and it has some lateral branches that have developed due to that initial pruning. And what we're trying to accomplish here is some good, these are called scaffold branches, and we're going to want 3 or 4 of them in the end coming out in different directions. So that will determine how we prune this tree. We also don't want it getting up very tall, much taller than it is right now before we spread it out. So the first branches that I'm going to go after are these tall ones in the middle here. Now what you want to do is look for a outward facing bud that's going to grow in the direction that you want that next branch to be, where that branch will continue to grow. And in this case we want to fill this space over here. So the way to do that is you prune directly above that branch, and you do a little bit of an angle, and you take that tree off like that. So now that bud will become dominant, and the branch will grow in that direction. We have a similar situation going over here, and I've pre-marked these just to make it quicker for the actual filming. So I have a mark there, and if you could see it, behind there is a outward facing bud. So we're going to take that one off right there. Now the rest of this is all going to be accomplished to make sure there are no branches growing across the center, and also any water sprouts that are growing straight up. Water sprouts are branches that come off one of your primary branches that are growing straight up, and they aren't very productive because they're not coming out at the right angle. What we're looking for is branches on a 45-degree angle from the main trunk, and not across from each other. If you look down here, we have these two are across from each other, so right there is a problem. And I also don't want branches this low. Now depending on your situation, you may want to keep your tree down low. Here we have a lot of deer, so I'm going to try and get these trees to grow up higher than normal, and even if it takes a ladder to pick them, I don't mind. We don't have that many trees. It's not like it's a commercial orchard that has to think about the mass production. So I'm going to take that lower branch off right down there because it's too low to the ground, and it's opposite this one over here, which I do intend to keep. So let's look at this next branch here. We've got quite a bit of branching coming off, and they're looking like they're going in a good direction. They're filling this area right here, so I think I'm going to let those go a little bit longer, maybe trim them next year once I see where they end up at. This one here has a branch coming across the middle, which is going to encroach on this territory, so we're going to remove that one. And This little guy right here is probably more than you need. I want to promote this one coming out here to use this space, so I'm going to prune that one off. Take it right there on an angle. Get rid of that. Let's look at this one over here. This looks, I tied this up last year because it was drooping down and I wanted to get a higher lift to it. So that one has been supported and it looks like she's going in the right direction. I don't think I have to touch that one. One thing I forgot to do and show you is a lot of these internal branches, these little tiny ones need to go. So we'll get rid of that one there. I saw another one over here. Where was that? Right here, down here, this little guy. Get rid of him. Any little water sprouts that are coming in like that. Here's one right here. Yep, I think that covers it. It's looking a lot better. Yep, I like that. On to the next one. It's a good idea to sterilize your pruners prior to moving from one tree to the next to avoid transferring any possible diseases. So I like to use a little rubbing alcohol and clean them up in between trees. Can never be too careful. There. Okay. Our next tree is a Bartlett pear, and it came from the nursery with the central leader form. You can see how tall it is. It had a lot of growth last year. Again, we didn't prune them because we wanted to develop a good root system and not set the tree back as much as possible. So our first prune on this tree is going to be up as far as I can reach with these pruners. Again, I've marked it all off previously filming so that we don't take too much time thinking about it. But you can see I've got a mark right up here because I have a nice shoot coming out in the direction of the predominant sunlight. I want this tree to head that way. So I'm going to cut this one off right here. And you might need these bigger pruners for the bigger job, and you get the extra reach. Same kind of things happening on this second one here. Now I'm actually going to prune this tree to result in a higher orchard tree than most people probably would do. And again, because I want the deer away from it, and I want these back trees up pretty high. So actually I'm going to work this tree up to starting about in this area eventually. So this next one I'm going to take off right below there with that one shoot going out to the left. And our top is formed. Now we can go back to our hand pruners. And I've washed them off with alcohol. So like I said, I don't want these low to the ground. I want them up high. I can mow by them, and the deer can't get the fruit so easy. So we've looked at these lower ones here, and we're going to take all these lower ones off. They've already been pruned once. You can see the nursery took it off there, and secondary growth came in. That one off. And we want to keep our tree balanced. We want to stagger where the branches are coming out as far as vertically on the stump, on the trunk, and also have them coming off in different directions so that there's no branches above each other working their way up the tree. So we've got this one that can fill this area. This one's, I think that one comes off too, if I remember correctly. Yep, we're going to take that one too. We're going to leave this one over here. That'll be one of our main scaffolds. This one comes off right here. We're going to leave this one in the back. And I'm not even going to trim the end of it because it's not getting out too far. Now what I want to do over here is in the spring I'm going to train these. And since I've got an open area on the tree here, this one's still pretty flexible. So I'm going to tie that one over here in the spring. So in anticipation of that, I am going to prune it off here. And I'm leaving this really nice formed bud, which is going to be going straight up here. So that's why I'm taking it off right here. And I'll tie it down in the spring. Miss anything? I think we're good. Our next tree is our Honeycrisp apple, and it looks like it almost could be a central leader form from the nursery. But since it's in the front row here, we're going to change it. You can change a tree from one form to the other. Does set it back if it's late in the game, but this first pruning we have the option to change, so we're going to change. We're actually going to maybe do a little modified central leader. You can either call it a modified central leader or a modified open center. It's kind of like a cross between the two of them, and in this case it kind of works for us, so we're going to do it. So we're going to take this central leader here, and I'm going to take it off right here and let this one take over. So it'll be a little bit higher than your standard open center tree, but that'll work for us. I'm going to take that one off there. And this other main one, in the spring I'll tie it out a little bit so it's over here, and you can see I got a nice little bud coming out there, so I'm going to take it off right here. And we'll do the tying when the weather's a little nicer. Then we're going to bring up the bottom on this because I want to be able to mow underneath them, so we'll take everything from here. And we're going to keep this one. He looks like he's good. He's trained already. This one over here we're going to train out like that by tying it down. So I found a nice little bud right there popping up when it's tied down. Make sure you pick the bud after you hold it in the direction you're going to tie it. That could change. You've got to get rid of all these interior branches. That may be what I use to fill up this area over here. It looks almost like dead wood up there, so I think I'm going to give it a clean cut up there with this outside facing bud. And that's how you change a central leader into a modified open center. Our next victim is our Reliance Peach. Now, peaches only grow fruit on second year wood, so you have to prune them every year, whether you like to or not. Otherwise they won't have that second year growth and you won't get any fruit. So this one is already formed in the central leader method, which is good because it's on the back row. And we're going to continue on with that by promoting the upward growth on it. I am going to start up here and give it a little nip though on the very top so these secondary branches start happening. And again, we want to work this up higher, so we're going to take all these lower branches off. Yeah, like I said before, we can always go at it again. We will go at it again next year. But we'll see what happens with this. The way I have it. Next we have our Mount Royal Plum. And it looked like it was going for a central leader form, but we're going to convert this one to an open center because it's in the front row. So our first cut will be on the central leader. And I picked a place where there's some very nice buds already developing. So I'm going to come right in here and top that center leader right off there. And it really doesn't need a whole lot of work. I'm going to try and train these out in the spring with rope. So we'll take this one off here. It's got some real nice secondary buds happening right there. Take that one off. This one I think looks, I'm going to take one of these on the bottom so we get some upward growth. Now I'm going to probably cut lower branches off in the years to come because I want to move it up off the ground again to mow underneath it. But in the meantime, I don't want to deprive it of its leaves for growth this summer. So I'm going to leave these lower ones and maybe reevaluate them down the line. So this one's pretty good. I can train this one down over here, and I'm going to train this one down over here, but we're going to top it off. There's a real nice bud starting right there, a little branch starting right there, so we'll take it off right below that, and that'll cause that to start heading out that way. We'll train it, tie it. Over here we got a little mess going. We might want to leave these, at least yeah, because they're going to be way out over here. We'll leave those. Here's our Perfection Apricot. And it has been pruned at the nursery with an open center. But we like to kind of get this thing going up high since it's in the back row. Try and do a modified open center. So the first thing we'll do is now, again, the apricot needs second year growth to produce fruit. So I'm going to not be as aggressive with it. I want to leave enough small branches. I'm going to prune them back so that they have growth, and we'll have future times to prune so we can continue to prune and get that fruit production. So we'll start up here on the top. that might do it. Our next tree is a Moonglow pear, and it is trying to be a central leader. And again, since it's in the front row, we're going to convert it to a open center, kind of a modified again, I guess. So the first thing we'll do is work on these central ones here. And I've got a nice branch popping out the back way, so there's actually a couple of nice ones in here. If we want to move the tree up someday, we'll have plenty of opportunity with those branches budding out. And this one here, we're going to bring it down even lower. I've got it marked right there, and I got this nice bud poking out that way, so we're going to take this one off right to there. This one over here, I'm going to bring out, there's a nice bud on the outside. Got some good spread over here. I'm going to take this off so this branch takes over. Got a nice outward facing bud right there. And we'll give this one a little nip right here. There's a couple nice buds going in the good direction right there. We'll let that one go. There's a water sprout. Go in there. There's an inside branch. Get rid of this inside branch. These three go right here. You got some rad water sprout action going on right here. We're going to get rid of all of them. Take this right down below that old cut. Hopefully I can get through it with these. There we go. And there's a water sprout in the middle. Look at that. Now that center is opening up. Water sprout down here. See how they're coming straight up through the center? We don't want that. Another big one over here. This one's coming across through the center and on the inside. All right. Here we have our Contender Peach. Again, it has to have second year growth to have fruit, but this tree didn't really do too good last year. It had a lot of dead wood. All the original wood from the nursery died, and everything you see on here is brand new growth. So we're not going to be as aggressive with it as some of the other trees in an effort to allow it to gain some strength this year. So it had the whole top died off here, so we're going to have to come right to here with it. And any other dead wood has to go. You see it's dead down to here. I got a nice outward bud right there. Our last tree is our 5-in-1 apple, which is a different animal altogether. We've got 5 different apples grafted onto one rootstock. So we have to be careful that we don't eliminate one of our species. One of the best things about this tree is we're going to have 5 different varieties. So we're going to leave a little more than normal just to make sure that we don't starve one branch. We're going to start down here with these water sprouts. And we'll get rid of those. Maybe I'll leave that one. Got to look at each individual branch and see if there's enough branches to support that particular type of apple. Okay, I think that'll be it for this year on this one.